It's the Joe Show. Hello and welcome to the Joe Show with me, Joe. The show where I read an article, react to it, and give my opinion. Every morning I wake up and read something. And so today, the article that I'm going to hop right into is called 4 Habits of Discipline My SEAL Dad Taught Me. Apply these habits to help you in life. So this guy had a dad who was a Navy SEAL, one of the hardest, ranks to achieve in the military of the USA. So he goes on to talk about the 4 habits that his dad instilled in him based on lessons from being a SEAL. First point, enduring work ethic stems from the moment. Let's find out what that means. I had an interesting conversation with him about Hell Week a few years back. For those who don't know, Hell Week is ridiculous. You wake up on a Sunday to gunfire, then you work out until Friday with no sleep. Hell Week is a bottleneck that breaks a lot of talented people. It's where the top 20% are whittled down to the top 5%. I've heard of Hell Week before. It sounds horrifying, especially for someone who likes to sleep. I remember him saying Tuesday morning was the worst. It was a bizarre response. Tuesday? Wouldn't Thursday be worse? Or Friday morning? Then he explained it and it made total sense. You wake up on a Sunday morning at 2 a.m. to gunfire. You run around getting yelled at. You're doing push-ups, carrying logs, rolling in the sand. This day continues, then into the night. As people are sleeping in their warm beds, you continue exercising, shivering, and getting shouted at. Probably with lots of knife hands. This is a knife hand. I recently learned this from a friend of mine. Knife hand. When you're getting yelled at and someone's pointing at you like this, the worst. Monday morning comes. The drill repeats and then sun up from sundown with nonstop exercise and physical torture. Then all through the night, you do it again. And when Tuesday morning rolls around, you've gone more than 2 full nights without sleep. You've endured intense stress, cold water, and difficult exertion the whole time. By Tuesday morning, you're more tired than you've ever been in your entire life. That's when you start to feel sorry for yourself. Oh man, it's only Tuesday. How am I going to get through all of this? If I'm already this tired, I'm not even halfway through. The people that start thinking like this, they're the ones that quit. The people who succeed only look a few minutes in front of them. They don't worry about Tuesday or Thursday or Friday. They just are only focused on each individual exercise. They get through it one thing at a time. You can apply this to many aspects of your life. Yes. If you're studying for a massive test, take it 1 page at a time. Working on a huge presentation, 1 slide at a time. For example, I swam in college. Our coach was very grueling, 5 to 6 miles of swimming a day. Sometimes the coach would put a set on the board that made me think, you've got to be fucking kidding me. I'm going to die. I just took it 1 lap at a time and got through it. Lower your vision and piecemeal those big hurdles. It reduces the perceived mental weight of tasks. Take it 1 thing at a time. I actually also give this advice to people who are suffering from anxiety and panic attacks. I've unfortunately got to experience those a lot in my life. And whenever anyone is going through big panic attacks or anxiety, you have to remind them that they can't keep worrying about the thing that's next week, that's months down the road, that's tomorrow. They have to focus on the now and what they can do to control the now, because that worry is stemming from an unknown of what's coming up. And so you've got to get control of the next minute and not worry about that next week, that next day, whatever you're anxious about. I think that's great. Second thing that we learned from the SEALs is the importance of detail. In SEAL training, there's a seemingly mundane test that trainees go through. They stand outside of the room at attention and say, "Ready for inspection, sir." The supervisor will then go into the dual-inhabited bedroom and begin inspecting every corner. No sand, no dirt, no blemishes of any kind. The furniture needs to be positioned perfectly, and the bed is where most trainees get dinged. There's a very specific and regimented way of thinking about a bed, of making a bed. It has to be wrinkle-free and tucked at the exact angle with the pillow and blanket positioned perfectly. Even the smallest detail is missed by either person in the room. They both have to go run into the waves. If the supervisor is in a bad mood, he'll have the candidates roll in the sand afterwards, turning them into quote-unquote sugar cookies. This gets old very quickly. It might seem stupid to torture candidates over how they make their bed, but it serves an all-important task. They are instilling the trainees' minds with an ultra focus on detail. The idea is, if I can't trust you to make a bed right, Why should I trust you to hold this rifle during a mission? And I think this applies to your work too. Every day when you're at a job, every job board, it even says it here, looks for great attention to detail. And this isn't a coincidence. You can't have a high performance without attention to detail. Actually, I found startups for a living, and I have to instill this in every one of my founders that I work with, that we have to have good attention to detail, that our pitch decks have to be on point, that our branding has to be on point, that our business model has to be on point, that our financial plan has to be on point. We've got to look at the detail. And it's tiring, and it sucks, and it takes time. But the benefits far outweigh the cost of mediocrity, for sure. Third piece of advice: a sound mind starts with a sound body. My dad is 65 now. My parents live up in Leesburg, Virginia. And when I visit, you'll see my dad and me just about every day at their Leesburg Rec Center. Staying in shape is definitely a part of SEAL culture, also a part of Joe culture. A good majority of older SEALs stay fit well into old age. That aside, growing up around that mentality, always competing in sports, getting my chops busted about getting out of shape, did me a lot of good. I've always found ways to exercise. It's been the anchor of my productivity. For me too, if I don't exercise every single day, I feel like filth. I can't concentrate well. I actually just got back from a run before I started recording this, and I feel so much better about myself for doing that. The next one that I'm going to struggle with here is start early. Oh man. I've never caught more shit from my parents than when I overslept at home or when I didn't make my bed. Surprise, surprise. It's hard to be a productive human being if you are sleeping in until noon every day. Oversleeping psychologically buries you. It's hard to bounce back from it. There's a feeling of a preemptive strike when you get up before the rest of the world. It sets a great tone for the rest of your day. Getting a workout or a project in before most people have woken up feels amazing. You feel like a god. I've never had an unproductive day that's started with me getting something done early. It always went well after that. This military approach mandates that you get into the habit of going to bed at a reasonable hour and ideally at the exact same time every night. Your body loves regimen and repetition. It will reward you. Remember, each day is a battle in and itself. Focus on staying in the moment. Don't let the burden of a huge task intimidate you. Break it up into smaller bits and take it down. Treat attention to detail like a religion. Hold yourself to a standard. Discipline is the key to so many things in life. Master the art of doing things, and you'll feel like you don't feel like doing, and you'll go quite far. Lastly, take care of your body. You'll only get one. Best of luck. So I think there was actually really great advice in here, and some advice that I struggle with. Enduring work ethic stems from the moment. I think this is a really good lesson to take away here. Instilling in yourself, just getting over the next moment, getting over the next minute, focusing on the tasks now, not worrying about something later. It's so much easier said than done, though. So much easier said than done. As someone whose mind wanders constantly into tomorrow, into the next week, into the next year, into the next 50 years. It's tough sometimes to just concentrate on the next minute. Importance of detail is the second lesson. Again, I agree with that. If you have any sort of job, focus on doing it the best that you can. Focus on attention to detail. If you're working, at Starbucks, make the coffee the best you can. Steam the milk with the most detail that you possibly can. Measure everything out. Like, even if it's just measuring stuff, that attention to detail is so important, and it'll go a long way outside of your job at Starbucks. It'll go into your life and into the way that you study. I can't agree with it more. A sound mind starts with a sound body. I'm a huge fan of exercise. I exercise every single day. This COVID-19 situation's got gyms closed, and I've been going crazy, but doing home workouts. I encourage you to find an exercise regimen that works for you. It doesn't have to be one that, The Rock does. It just has to work for you. And the last point of advice here, or the last lesson from a SEAL, was start early. And this is the one that I do not agree with. I hate. And in Silicon Valley and in startup culture where I kind of live, there's this whole mentality of if you don't wake up at 4 a.m. and get your day started then, that you won't ever be successful. And I know plenty of startup founders, great programmers, great futurists, great engineers, great technicians that wake up at 11, at 10, at noon, and have very productive and long days working well into the night. And so On this one, I'm going to disagree. You don't have to start early. You have to find the rhythm that works for your body. Every body is different. I will, however, say that if you do get up early, you probably will feel better with yourself. When I do get up early, I force myself to do it, which is rare, I do feel better about myself. So I can understand that point. Those were the 4 lessons from Sean's dad. And I will link to the article in the description. And that is the show for today. Thanks for watching. If you like my content, please subscribe, share my video with a friend, or give me some feedback. Tell me about the stuff that you hate that I do, or tell me about the stuff that you think is pretty cool. So this has been The Joe Show.